Alrighty, we're ready to get started. I want to welcome you all to the June S&P monthly webinar. And today we're going to talk about romance scams. We chose this topic because, of course, we know there are a lot of people that have been involved in romance scams, but also to give people an opportunity to learn about them in case they recognize or know someone who might be involved and can help out. This will be a short webinar. We'll go for about a half an hour and we'll be done. We have questions and answers at the end. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Our agenda today is we're going to talk about what is a romance scam. We're going to look at how romance scams are carried out by the scammers. Then we're going to talk about do's and don'ts about online dating. And then finally, what to do if you get caught in a romance scam. As always, I want to share a little bit about the Senior Medicare Patrol. Of course, we exist to empower and assist Medicare beneficiaries, their family members, and their caregivers in preventing, detecting, and reporting healthcare errors, fraud, and abuse. And we do that through counseling, outreach, and education. It's a national program that's funded by the Department of Health and Human Services under the Administration for Community Living. And we do that through the Virginia Association of Area Agencies on Aging around the state of Virginia. We partner with 22 of the 25 AAAs, and we support them in providing information and helping get information out to the public. And again, in helping to prevent and detect and report healthcare errors, fraud, and abuse. My name is Sean Smith. I'm the state director for the Virginia Senior Medicare Patrol. And I've been with the program almost a year. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the presentation. So first of all, I just want to talk about what exactly is a romance scam. And real simply put, a romance scam is when a scammer pretends to be the love interest of a victim, and they do it for the purpose of either getting money from them or getting information that will help them acquire money or get money from that individual. And unfortunately, many times what we've learned is that some of these romance scams lead to involving the victim or the person, their love interest, into some other criminal activity. And this is something that's been going on for a number of years, and we've been collecting reports through the FTC of how often this has been happening. And what I'll show you on the next slide is that between 2016 and 2020, these scams have been reported at much higher levels year after year. So in 2016, the FTC recorded about 11,000 reports from victims of romance scams. In 2020, however, that number tripled, and they received over 33,000 reports of people that were involved in romance scams. And that's a pretty significant number. And what we have to remember is that these are only the people that are reporting the scams. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. In terms of money lost to romance scams, again, that number quadrupled over the last 5 years. And so in 2016, people reported losing about 75 million. And in 2020, as a collective, the people that reported losing money collectively added up to over $304 million. And again, that's just those individuals that reported the scams. Next, we're going to look at the top three categories of loss in 2020, and this is for people 60 years of age and older. So we're looking at specifically the 60 years of age and older category, and we're going to look at how much money they lost to scams. And so the top three categories. Category number three is business imposter scams. And we know these are scams where someone pretends to be with a business or working for a business, and they swindle individuals out of their money. In 2020, people reported losing about $64 million to those types of scams. The next type of scam was a prize or sweepstakes scam. And again, we know that this is a scam where people will call an individual and say, you have won a prize, but however, in order to receive that prize, you have to pay taxes or fees on that prize in order for us to send it to you. People were involved in that scam in 2020, and those 60 years of age and older collectively lost about $69 million. The number one category of loss was romance scams. And again, we just talked about what that is. And seniors 60 years of age and older reported losing about $138 million to romance scams. And if you remember, that number of total loss was about 304 million. So this almost represents half the people that lost that money. Next, we're going to look at dollars by age. So in the 60 plus age category, we're going to look at, for the 3 decades, how many people or how much money they lost by those particular ages. So people 80 years and above reported losing about $9 million. For those in their 70s, collectively, they reported losing about $40 million. And then those in that 60 to 69 category reported losing about $89 million. And so again, that age group or these age groups represent more than almost half of what was lost the entire year or reported lost the entire year. Now, we talk about what's reported because we know that reporting these scams or any scam, the reports that we get are only the tip of the iceberg. And people tend not to report the money they lose in romance scams or the fact that they've been involved in romance scams for various reasons. One of the reasons is it's heartbreaking when someone falls in love with someone and then they realize that the person they're in love with not only doesn't love them, but has taken money from them and swindled them and lied to them and cheated them out of money. It is heartbreaking and very emotional for individuals, and they don't want to share that information. It feels embarrassing sometimes because then you think to yourself, I got involved in this situation and I participated in it, and it can be embarrassing. And one of the reasons it is embarrassing is because we as a society, when we come across scams like this, we victim shame. So we blame the victim, saying they should have known better. Only a dumb person would get involved in something like that, and we perceive them as naive. And really, the truth is, these are scammers, and these people are victims of crimes, and these scammers are professionals. So not only do they do this every day, they do it to multiple people at the same time over the course of months, over the course of years. And so people that fall for these scams isn't because they're dumb or naive. It's because these scammers are really good at what they do. And just like any of us who give in to people who we love, whether it be our children or whether it be a family member, when we give in to people that we love, it's a matter more of the heart than it is a matter of the actual finances or the details of the situation. And so when you fall in love with someone, it's very easy to feel for them and to want to give them and support them and help them. And so these scammers are very good at helping people fall in love with them and then taking them for money. So how are these scams carried out? So there's a number of ways. And first, we're going to talk about how people get connected to these scammers. So one of the ways people get connected to these scammers is on dating apps or through social media. So whether it's 50 plus or Farmers Only or Tinder or one of these dating apps, people get connected and they meet scammers that way. Another way is through other social media sites, whether it's Instagram or whether it's Facebook. They're able to connect with people, start a conversation, and start chatting with them. What we've also discovered over the last few years that people are also meeting individuals through gaming apps. And so a lot of these new gaming apps have features where you can chat back and forth with someone, but also some audio features where you can talk to people that you've never met before across the country who are also playing the same game as you. And so they're meeting people that way and starting relationships and really starting to build opportunities to scam individuals through those gaming apps. People are also connecting with other individuals by email, which is something that's a little bit non-traditional. So once people get connected to these scammers, there are a number of things that happen that allow these scams to take place or to be carried out. So one way that scammers get money or scam the individuals that they're pretending to be in love with is really just asking for money. And it could be money, it could be jewelry, it could be going into some type of debt with them, but they typically ask for money, sometimes indirectly. So they'll say things, gosh, I really wish I could come see you. I simply can't afford it. And of course, the victim will say, oh, well, here, I'll help you. I'll send you some money and you can catch the plane or catch the train or what have you. Or they may ask more directly. And a lot of times when they ask directly, it has something to do with some type of emergency. Oh, my dog is in the hospital. My mom has had surgery. Oh, I lost my job and I've got to pay my rent. And of course, if someone you're in love with, then you're going to be sympathetic to that and you may send them some money. But that is one of the standard ways. And what happens is it becomes a cycle where every time or over so many periods of weeks or days, the individual continues to ask for more and more money, and the victim continues to send them money over and over a period of time until they realize, wow, this is really not the kind of relationship I want to be in, or there's a problem here. But they ask for money repeatedly for, and to the tune of thousands of dollars. There's some scammers that have gotten over 200, 300, $400,000 from a single victim just because of the relationship that they were in. Another way that scammers scam the victims is through investment fraud. And the way those are carried out is someone will say, the scammer will say to the victim, hey, I just invested in this great opportunity. It's something that you should probably look into. And over a period of time, they talk this person into investing into this unfailable opportunity. And what they'll do is once they get the person on the hook to say, here, I'm ready to invest, then they connect them with the broker that's going to manage the investment for them, except that broker is really an accomplice to their particular crime. So the victim sends the money to the broker, and then the broker and the love interest are never heard from again. And so they think they're investing in something, and really they're just giving money to a scammer and his friend. Another way that these scams happen is through bank or check scams or even money laundering. And so the scammer will say that I'm going to send you a check. If you cash it for me, then we can do whatever we're planning to do. And then something happens and they get asked to send that money back. And so one of the more recent stories was a young lady was online with someone that she'd met. They were dating for a period of time, over 6 or 7 months, and they were planning a trip together. And so they had all of these elaborate plans for a trip. He said that he was going to send her a check. He sent her a check of about $5,000. Once she cashed the check or got it into her bank, he called back and said, hey, I lost my job. I really need that money back to pay for my rent and to pay for my expenses here at home. I won't be able to take the trip. She pulls the money out of her account, which the check really hadn't cleared yet, and sent it back to him. And then come to discover that the check actually bounced. And so now she's got a hole of about $5,000 in her bank account that the bank had paid out, that the bank is now looking for her to come up with that money. And of course, the scammer has $5,000, and now you never hear from him again. And so those types of things happen often. Also, the money laundering is when they open an account together. So you open an account with a scammer, and the scammer could be involved in some criminal activity where they're using that account to funnel money through crime money. And now that particular victim is implicated in that fraud as well because their name is on the account. So some other things that happen is grand larceny. A victim of the scammer may be asked to receive certain merchandise and either to forward it on to someone else or to hold on to it until they meet, or for whatever reason, the scammer will come up with some story or some excuse why they need this person to receive this merchandise. A lot of times it's stolen merchandise. And so they'll give a story like, my uncle is trying to send me a computer, but he can't get it to me. I need you to receive it and send it to me overseas where I am. And so being in love, being connected to this person, the victim falls for it and facilitates this transfer of this stolen merchandise to the scammer. What happens is, if they ever get found out, because this particular victim was a part of the process, then they're also implicated in that crime, and they become a criminal as well with the scammer. And so it happens with jewelry, it happens with clothing, other merchandise, as well as electronics. Scammers often blackmail their victims. And so throughout this course or process of falling in love and meeting and dating online, the scammer may ask their love interest for some sensitive pictures, some texting pictures, or something that's in a compromising position. And they hold on to those until time that they're ready to get money out of this particular victim. Once they get to that point, they threaten the victim and say, hey, I'm going to share these pictures with your family, with your employer, put it on social media if you don't give me XYZ amount of dollars. And of course, victims are afraid, they fall for it, and they find themselves definitely in the situation they don't want to be in. Now, in very extreme cases, there's opportunities where people have fallen victim to human trafficking. Now, if you've ever seen any of those TV shows on cable talked about locked up abroad, a lot of times they start out as romances. A young woman oftentimes, or even a young man, will fall in love with someone. They say, hey, meet me in Aruba or meet me overseas in the Philippines, but I need you to pick up a bag for me to bring with you. And really what they end up doing is transporting drugs. They get caught at the airport and then they get locked up abroad. But again, those things start as romance scams and of course become a huge problem for the victim. So looking at how these things are carried out, the next thing we really want to look at is what are some red flags? Like what are things that happen when you meet someone online that can possibly tell you that it's a scam? And these things that are consistent across the board with a lot of the scams and the scammers that are taking place. One of the things is when you meet the person online and you look at their profile picture, a lot of times they have these supermodel pictures. And not only that only tells you that they're using a fake photo. But because the picture is, they look young, they're good looking, they know people are gonna be attracted to them and wanna be connected with them. And so if they have this supermodel photo that looks ultra professional, then it's a red flag for people that are looking at dating sites and might be involved on a dating site. Another thing is when you meet someone and they start to declare their love quickly for you. So the first thing that a scammer really wants to do is really get their hooks in you. And so they'll declare their love really quickly and really try to get closely connected with you. They give you all the compliments that you're looking for. They really make it a super romance situation so that you're inclined to stay and be a part of it as opposed to something that goes slow. So they want to move it along quickly so they can one, keep from being found out as much as possible, but also so they can get money from you quickly. A lot of times these scammers will pretend to live abroad or work abroad. They say, I live in overseas or I'm in the military. And because of that, we can't meet because the whole idea is if you meet me, then one, you could probably tell I'm a scammer. Two, you might be able to tell that I'm not the person that I really am or that picture that I put up online. And three, the less I'm connected to you, the easier it is for me to get away with the scam. And so if they're abroad or they're traveling, now in 2020, COVID gave us the perfect, or gave scammers the perfect opportunity to not meet their victims. And a lot of the crimes were carried out that way simply because they had to be separated because of COVID and they couldn't meet them. But working and living abroad, when you meet someone online, is definitely a red flag for someone who might be a scammer. Scammers also don't want to video chat with you because again, if they're using a fake profile, a fake name, a fake picture, once they get you on, or once you get them on video chat, then you already know that they're not the person who they claim to be. And so they try to avoid those avenues of meeting you or connecting with you or engaging with you other than by text or email or by phone. The other part is they try to lure you off the dating site. Things that happen on the dating site can be easily traced and tracked. And so the first thing they want to do is they want to get you off that dating site onto some private platform, whether it is texting back and forth or whether it's through email. But they want to get you off that dating site because it's easier or less, it's more difficult for them to be found out if they're off that platform than if they're on that platform. Other red flags include their profile simply doesn't match what they say. A lot of these scammers are not just scamming one victim, they're scamming two or three victims or even more at the same time. And so they have this one profile that says one thing, but now they're spinning all these stories with various people. And so a lot of times they may get their stories mixed up. And if you're talking with someone who you're trying to develop a relationship or maybe in a relationship with, and the story's not adding up to what you think you know about them, then that, of course, would be a red flag. They might send you messages that are vague, or they might make promises that they simply don't keep. Like, I'm coming to visit you, and then all of a sudden they have an excuse of why they can't show up. And it happens multiple times because they're trying to keep you engaged in the situation. So if they keep making the promises and you keep falling for it, it means that you're still engaged in the particular relationship. And so them being vague about details about their life or who they are or where they live or where they work, again, are all red flags that people should be looking for. Another thing scammers do is they Find ways to twist the story so that they ask you not to tell other people about them. So in other words, I don't want people to know about our relationship and they'll say a story like, I'm going through a divorce, or I don't want my kids to find out because they get upset when I'm dating, or they try to sabotage it. But they'll spin some story to try to keep you quiet from putting that up on Facebook or putting on other social media accounts to say that you're dating someone, or for you even simply not to tell your friends, because of course, if you have pretty good friends and they hear that you're dating someone and they understand the details of the relationship, that you haven't met them in person and they're asking for money, then your friends are going to call you out and be like, hey, that sounds pretty crazy. So they want to keep this relationship in isolation so that they are less likely to be found out. And of course, the next thing that happens is if they start asking for money, they have an emergency need all of a sudden, and they need money from you. You know, anyone that's a grown adult that doesn't have their life together where, you know, they're needing money on more than one occasion, especially, is someone that you might want to watch out for. Now, you know, granted, we all come into opportunities or situations where we might need assistance or might need help. And no one's saying that you can't help them or that's a bad thing, but it's a red flag for someone who you haven't met or can't video chat with, or meets any of these other red flags that come up in terms of romance scams. So those are the red flags. The question is, you know, what are the things that we can do? And what things that we want to make sure that we do in terms of do's and don'ts when it comes to online dating. One is when we meet someone, research them online. And you know, researching people is super easy to do. There's a lot of social media sites out there. There's reverse image search. So of course, social media, you can look them up. If you're on Tinder or one of those apps, you can look them up on Facebook or look them up on Instagram. You can ask them for their Facebook or Instagram account, but you can also look them up and you can do your own investigation. Reverse image search is when you drag their image into the search bar or Google search, or reverse image search, excuse me, and it shows you where that same picture shows up on other websites. And so if they say their name is John Smith and you drag it into the reverse image search and it shows up on Matthew Jones and David Sims, all their different websites, then you know somebody's lying, whether it's John, Matthew, or David. But the whole idea is you have an opportunity to see, where's this picture showing up, and is this person really the person they say they are? Another thing you want to do is you want to be careful if the person that you're meeting with or met with is over complimentary. So if they are just all of a sudden all wrapped up and tied up into you in a very short period of time, you want to be really careful, because again, that is a red flag. You also want to make sure you take the relationship slow. You have control over how fast relationships move just as much as the other person. And so if you're trying to keep it slow and they're trying to speed it up, you want to make sure you stay in control of that, and make sure you tell friends about the relationship for various reasons. If you go on your first date with this individual, you want someone to know who you are, where you are, and you want them close to make sure that nothing crazy happens. When you're signing up for one of these dating apps or one of these sites, you want to use a separate username and an email account than what you would use for your other personal information, whether it's your banking or credit card. Again, that's just to keep information separate and safe. If they're able to somehow hack into your account, if they're using your name and your password, at least they won't be able to get to your good stuff. And then also, you want to make sure you ask questions if things don't add up. So we talked about sometimes information on their website or their profile not matching the things that they're saying. Jump into that stuff and ask questions and probe and dig deep, and to make sure that they are able to come up with the proper story that makes all of that make sense. And just because they come up with the story doesn't mean it's true, but you want to make sure and listen to the cues that might tell you that is or is not true. Some of the things that you don't want to do when it comes to romance scams is, one, don't have initiators security. So there's a false sense of security when it comes to being the initiator. So you're thinking, oh, well, I initiated the relationship, so they're not trying to scam me. But it's possible that you could be initiating a relationship with a scammer. A lot of times think, oh, the scammer is going to come to me and I'm going to know. But a lot of times they're online. They have the beautiful profile picture because they want people to come to them. It makes their job that much easier. So you can't have a false sense of security just because you have initiated the conversation. Again, you don't want to reveal too much personal information about yourself. Scammers are going to want as much information about you as possible. One, to keep you engaged and to feel like to make you feel like that they're really involved and want to know who you are and be a part of your life. But the other thing is, if they're trying to blackmail you, then they want to know who your boss is, where you work, what are your family members' names, how many brothers, how many, they want that information from you because they want to use that against you. If you can, try not to leave the dating site. Whatever app you're on, stay on that site for as long as you need to until you meet that person in face to face. And that way you know that you're comfortable and you're safe. But that site is set up and it's contained for a reason. And so if you move off of that too quickly, then it becomes a situation where now this person is disconnected from the thing that's keeping you safe. So stay on that site as long as you can. And of course, you don't want to send sensitive photos. Again, those photos can be used as blackmail and are often used as blackmail. And so you want to make sure, not even just for the purposes of romance scams, but it's best not to send that type of stuff anyway, of course. So getting to the criminal activity, you don't want to send or transfer money or gift cards to this person or for this person. If they start asking for money, that's a huge red flag. You don't want to get involved in that. You don't want to accept or cash checks from them. So if they send you a check, you really don't want to accept it, put it in your bank. More than likely, it's gonna bounce, and you'll end up having to pay for it. But you don't want to cash checks for them either, because of course you give them the money, and then of course you have that hole in your account. You don't want to buy, send, or receive merchandise from them. Again, this is where the stolen merchandise can be involved. And so you sending it or you receiving it or even buying things and sending it to them makes you a part of the crime as well. And so you want to make sure that you are not looped up into any of that. You don't want to open accounts or take out loans for them or with them. So again, if you're on an account, if they have an account with your name on it as well, whatever crime they may be committing, whether it's money laundering or sheltering money, then you become implicated in that crime because you're also part of that account. And taking out a loan, they can walk away with the loan money and leave you high and dry with the bill. So you don't want to do that with them, and you certainly don't want to do that for them. And finally, you don't want to invest with them, through them, or for them. And what I mean by that is, if there's an investment opportunity and they want you to get involved, hey, we have to do it at a level of $5,000. You put in 2,500, I put in 2,500. Again, bad idea. You don't want to do it through them, meaning if they've got an investment opportunity and they're going to connect you with the right person, again, that person could be their accomplice. And certainly you don't want to do it for them. So they may say, the opportunity is here today, but I can't get the money. Can you put it in for me and I'm going to send you a check? Certainly not the thing that you want to do. So all of that said, all the different ways it's carried out, our do's and our don'ts. What do we do if we get caught in a scam? Super simple. First of all, cease contact with the scammer right away. Do not continue a relationship with them. Cut them off as soon as possible and get yourself out of their whatever engagement that you have with them. You want to keep copies of all communications, and that becomes important in case an investigation arises. And so you want to make sure you keep hold of all your text messages or email exchanges or even what might be on a dating site. You want to make sure that you report that particular individual to whatever site that you were on. So if it becomes a fake profile on a dating site, they could be involved with several other people at the same time. And so the dating app should eliminate those folks, and that way you keep other people safe from getting caught up in the scams. And finally, you want to report to local police officers, the FBI, as well as the FTC, if you feel like you've been involved in a scam or the scammer has gotten money from you and has disappeared and ghosted you. Very simple. So all of that said, want to go ahead and open the floor up to any questions anyone might have. If you have questions, just go ahead and raise your hand and I will get you to unmute yourself and you can ask your question. All right, nice and simple. So no questions. That being said, that's really the end of the presentation. Again, wanted to make sure that you had information for yourselves in case you might be dating online, but also for friends or family members or someone that you work with in the community that might be putting up some red flags around romance scams. It's something that's, again, very, very deeply affecting seniors 60 years of age and older, and we want to make sure that we do what we can to keep them safe. And again, no questions, then I'm going to go ahead and close out the presentation. And I look forward to seeing you guys. The next presentation is going to be July 21st, and I'll be putting out the topic probably in the next 2 weeks. All right. Thanks so much for participating, and I hope you guys have a great day.